Welcome to the first episode of Beyond Boundaries. She speaks, she inspires. The podcast where we amplify the voices of extraordinary women who are breaking barriers, leading with passion, and inspiring change. In each episode, we dive into the journeys, challenges, and triumphs of women who are shaping the future in their fields. In this episode of Beyond Boundaries, we are thrilled to have Dr. Chaitra N, an associate professor in the Department of Computer Science and Engineering at PES University, RR campus. With 15 years of teaching and 7 years of research experience, Dr. Chaitra has become a leading expert in the fields of signal and image processing, language processing, and machine learning. She holds a PhD in the pattern recognition and machine learning from Visvesvaraya Technological University and an MTech in digital communication from RV College of Engineering, where she graduated with a gold medal and first rank. Dr. Chaitra has published over 22 papers in prestigious international conference and journals. Before we dive into the actual conversation, Ma'am, can you please tell us something that makes you passionate about your career?
Thank you, Siri, for this kind introduction. Hello, everyone. Yes, so one thing is when I graduated, I finished my engineering from BMS College of Engineering. So when I did my BE, typically as any other engineering student, I took up placements and I was working with Infosys Technologies as a software engineer for a couple of years. But later I realized I had a passion towards teaching students, mentoring them. So that is where I thought, let me take a career break. Then I did my MTech, and I'm very passionate about teaching and sharing what I've little, and learn along with the students and mentoring them.
Mom, what challenges have you faced as a woman in tech and how did you overcome them? Because we all know that women face a lot of barriers and challenges to get into the position which you are in now. So, how did you face all the difficulties that came your path?
Right. So when it comes to facing challenges, it is not just women or men. Everybody has their own challenges. But coming to typically the few things that we as women have to face in, it starts pretty early. You know, when I graduated, those were the days where parents insisted that whatever you want to do, do it after marriage. So although I was working and I was in Infosys, I got married, and I also wanted to pursue my higher studies abroad. I did take GRE, but I wouldn't say they didn't support me, but they thought this would be a better way as I am a girl, get married, later do whatever you want. So in that case, I got married, and when I was doing MTech, I already had a 1 year old child. That is my daughter. So typically, you can understand that, we had exams, I had a daughter, but I had to take it up. So these were the initial challenges, but when you come to the workplace, yes, I wouldn't say that I've been fortunate to have extremely supportive management and colleagues. There hasn't been any sort of a discrimination that we are women and they are men, but there are few roles when it comes to few giving a certain roles or the responsibilities. Always people think twice. She is a woman. Will she be able to handle it? Will she be able to become a coordinator for this kind of a club where it would typically be a guy's role? So there are quite a few challenges here and there because we are women and people are biased. But nevertheless, I think right now things are changing, and most of us are fortunate that we are able to, take up certain roles and responsibilities at higher positions.
Yeah, Mom, that's very inspiring. Now, let us dive into the tech side. What are your takes on current technologies that are booming today?
All right, Siri, one thing I have to tell, the things have been changing so exponentially, Few years back, none of us thought that there could be something like a chat GPT which can answer most of our questions,
Yes,
right? Which
Mom.
can do assignments for them, write reports and create projects. So things have been, there's a revolutionary change, I can say, when it comes to AI. So many things are scaring people that people might lose jobs, and the other side of it is things are becoming so much easier for us to take it. Few years back, we didn't have this technology where platform where we were recording a podcast, right?
Yes,
So
ma'am.
I think it's been a good era, and a lot of jobs are getting created because of the current technology revolution and the AI changes, the AI is bringing in. I'm pretty positive about things, the way things are going.
Yes, ma'am. You have very positive mindset about the technologies. Ma'am, you graduated with the gold medal and first rank during your MTech. What mindset or habits you think that believed in achieving this level of excellence?
I haven't achieved too much, but just to share how things went when I was doing my 12th itself, one habit that I had, which even today I do it, is whenever I read, whenever I study, I have a habit of writing it down. I write and practice, solve more problems, and practice in the form of, whatever I learn, try to write it in a form of a program, see some outputs, what are the results. So try to learn about the applications of it. So it gives me a bigger picture about what I'm studying. So it motivates me more into delve into the subjects, understand the fundamentals. So I think that made a lot of difference from early on from my engineering days itself. So I would suggest writing down what you learn, comprehending, and if you don't understand something till you understand the fundamentals, don't go to the next topic, and get your simple things first. Learn things well, and don't and also understand the bigger picture of why you're doing it, the applications of it, so it gives you clarity about why you're studying. So in a way, these things help me a lot. Yes.
Yes, ma'am. This will be beneficial for all the students that who will be seeing you. Ma'am, your PhD was in pattern recognition and machine learning. Can you share how these fields are evolving today and their significance in solving real world problems?
Well, when I did my PhD, I had taken up a classification problem wherein I was classifying the brain images of autistic individuals and the normal people. So, given a set of brain images of autistic and the control or the normal people, using certain techniques, of course, machine learning and deep learning techniques, I was able to come up with few measures and important feature set using which we could classify. So coming to that, from what I had done to now, there has been a lot of changes. I had used the basic deep learning models where I was trying it out, but right now we have a bigger, more powerful models which will be able to handle, with the kind of a GPUs that we have, the hardware that we have. Right now, people are able to take more in data, get more accurate results. I think things are becoming much much better, and the way things are progressing both with the hardware and of course the machine learning techniques, right now people are achieving better classification or the prediction accuracies and the results.
Thank you for your suggestions and your insights, ma'am. How do you foresee the role of machine learning and AI impacting the education in next 5 to 10 years?
Well, this is a very interesting question to tell you because there are two aspects to it: how it affects the faculty, because I am a faculty, and how it affects the students. Let me take up the students first, because right now the target audience is more about the students. Let me tell
Yes,
you,
ma'am.
going forward, right now we have a very structured way of learning, in a sense that all of us have certain timetable, all of us go sit in the class and listen to the lectures and things like that. But going forward, you can, I mean, I'm not saying that totally that structure or will be eliminated or it will be overtaken, but that is something very important, where you go class, you have teams, you have students, you have peer learning, and you learn from your teacher firsthand. Along with that, what complements or adds on would be having something like an AI teacher itself. You go home and you might have an AI avatar of your teacher who would be solving your problems and just clearing your doubts and helping you with getting more clarity about your assignments or the projects. And for all things might change so drastically. You might also have the personalized learning, like you might have a website or a personalized platform wherein you log in, and every day it greets you and tells you how did your class go, and maybe you have some problems in one of your subjects and teaches you, helps you write the programs. It will be a completely makeshift that you can see at least in 5 to 10 years, is what I'm guessing, with the way things are changing now. For the faculty also, we need to adapt, we need to learn. Because here we have an AI person himself with whom we need to compete. Right now people may log into international universities and look into the video lectures, but in future they might be looking at an AI person teaching them. So we have to adapt and make sure that we are well aware of the recent trends and technologies and abreast with everything that's happening around. So it's going to be a revolutionary change, but positive change is what I'm saying, because you'll have more personalized things, yeah, at your fingertips.
Yes, ma'am, your opinion about personalization is incredible. But students today are becoming more dependent on ChatGPT and AI tools. Don't you think that will create a negative impact?
Very, very true. One thing that students are missing out is, see, these are technology, these are something tools which you need to use, but you should know where to stop. Right? You cannot be using for everything. I can see that few of the students, even to debug a small semicolon or, in a program, they don't want to go through line by line. They just put the whole
Yes,
code into
ma'am.
ChatGPT and ask it to decode it for them. Right? So it's a very bad trend. But one thing I want you people to tell is, in the future, even for you students, you're competing not just with your peers, you're competing with AI, right? If at all it's able to do all your work, why would people hire you? Why would they give you a job? So any
Yes,
company
ma'am.
for that matter, they want you to solve a problem, right? Problem solving skills, and those are the aspects that you really need to work on, and people are really missing out on that. I would suggest you do use the technology, but make sure that you know what you're doing, you understand things well, and please solve problems, write programs, work on projects. Don't let ChatGPT do that for you.
Yes, ma'am, your suggestions will really help students a lot. That's great. Ma'am, you have mentored over 300 students for higher studies. What advice do you often give to your students aspiring to pursue education abroad?
Yes. One thing is, Siri, I'm an entrepreneur. I have my own company called Grad Insights. So through that,
Great,
I
ma'am.
also do for higher studies guidance. And other than that, also from past 15 years, I'm guiding students. I did mention that I had taken GRE and I couldn't go. That was some fire in me, I should help people so that they realize their dreams. It's not that I mentor them so that they go abroad. I mentor them so they can. I have my few students who are doing it in ISC and IIMs and other institutes in India as well. So typically, what I would suggest is, whenever people think about going for higher studies, they just think about clearing GATE or clearing your GRE, CAT or anything like that. For GATE and CAT, yeah, to an extent, but whenever you're planning to apply abroad, especially, just clearing and having your CGPA is not going to be sufficient. Just having a GRE score, just having TOEFL, IELTS, and having some being a 9 pointer is not sufficient. Your people are
Yes,
having
ma'am.
so much of competition. There are so many universities out there. I would want each one of you to build your profile early on, at least from fifth semester. Make sure you have a very good profile, which is something where you would have done some good projects, couple of publications, internships, and also some voluntary works where it tells people that you're a good team player, you have leadership skills, especially people like you. Look at you, you have been organizing this hackathon and you're doing this podcast. I really appreciate all of you. You really
Thank you,
need to do
ma'am.
all of this. It adds so much to your profile and so much of learning there. Okay, do all these things. So make sure that your undergraduation days, you have a holistic development. It's not just technical, and also your soft skills and leadership skills and all that. So I would suggest build a profile, then apply.
Thank you, ma'am. Because today's students are totally marks oriented. They just look on for CGPA and just graduating with the highest marks.
Right.
So your suggestions are really great help to them. Ma'am,
I
what
hope
was
so.
your experience receiving the Eminent Women Engineer Award? What message would you share with young women aspiring to excel in engineering?
I was fortunate to receive that award. I'm sure there are much many more women out there who are so much better than me. That was humbling experience. I'm grateful to the management who thought I can be recipient of that award. My message would be, people, just go all out there. There are so many opportunities, so much out there. Each one of you have so much of potential, right? Each one of you have so much of energy and intelligent. Don't ever underestimate yourself. That's one thing I really want to say. Each one of you have so much potential and energy and time. Make best use of the resources around. You have everything in hand. It's just that what you need is the right direction and determination to go about. Work hard, set goals, short term, long term goals, go and get it.
Thank you, ma'am. That was really inspiring. Ma'am, what strategies do you use to make complex topics like machine learning more approachable for students?
Well, one thing I've been doing from early on my career is I believe in more hands-on than theory. Of course, the fundamentals of math is very important. That's a prerequisite for machine learning. Once you are done with that, one thing I would suggest take more hands-on experience with small assignments, small projects. So work on real-time projects, get some real data, work on it. There is no better learning than that. So that few of these kind of innovative teaching methods, project based learning, is what I usually use in my deep learning and machine learning classes.
Ma'am, but machine learning is just like an ocean. Students often get stuck in there. How would you suggest them?
Very true. Because there is so much out there, people wouldn't know where to go about. One thing
Yes,
is,
ma'am.
you can start with the mathematics courses. That's early courses, and you can start with the basics of the machine learning. All right, learn few of the basic machine learning, starting from say decision tree, random forest, SVM. Get few basics and those machine learning things. As and when you do smaller assignments, then you can go towards your CNN or your deep learning techniques and things like that. Depending on what interests you, maybe you can go towards computer vision or you can go towards NLP or any of it. It also depends on what fascinates you and what kind of problems that you want to solve.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. This will really help students who are passionate about machine learning, but they are stuck where to start, what to do, and all. So, ma'am, my next question is: as an award-winning women engineer, what changes would you like to see to encourage more women to take up leadership roles in STEM?
That's something very important because we see hundreds of men at the top, but not many women. Because if you are at the top, that is where the decision making happens, and that's where the lot of changes brings in. I would say early on itself, take something like it could be like leading an IEEE club or any of the clubs, organizing events. Get that leadership skills in you. Make sure you have a bunch of people using them. You organize events, lead a club, start a club, and things like that in your undergraduate. Organize a fest, workshops, hackathons. Participate in as many events as possible. Get a lot of exposure. Soft skills right now are as important as your the tech skills. So make sure that you have good communication skills, team player skills, and also the leadership skills, and take up roles, take up responsibilities, and make sure wherever there is an opportunity that comes to you, don't say no. As in, don't underestimate yourself and say that no, I don't think I can do it. If somebody else can do it, you can do it. Take it up. And especially with the STEM, have your fundamentals right. Make sure you have a very good practical knowledge and you have a good hands-on experience in things. Make sure you can break the glass ceiling that way. Yes, I'm sure all of you can do that.
Yes, ma'am, that was a great piece of advice. Now, ma'am, my last question is: what are your insights for students, like on research and publications?
Well, publications, research, or the projects that you do are extremely important. Earlier, also, I told you that profile building is important, and the projects and research are the places where you typically understand a problem statement and the technology well. Just reading the books or understanding a derivation wouldn't help you or take you long. And if you have to crack a good interviews and get into the top notch companies, one thing, have some good projects on your paper. When you have to do a project, so obviously you will do a bit of a research. Once you have the proper projects done, and if there is something novelty, make sure you publish it in the right forums. Publications are extremely important, and it adds so much of value for your profile and also your internships. So get that industry exposure as well. All these things are as important as your CGPA, because that is where you learn more than from reading from the textbooks. So get out there and make sure that you have some good research projects and also publications. Approach all your faculty or any of your mentors. I'm sure everybody will be very happy to assist you and guide you. Don't ever hesitate and to ask anyone for any guidance. With this, with some passion and goal, don't get discouraged by one or two failures or something. Make sure you
Yes, ma'am.
pursue, you go after your dream, and I'm sure you will get it.
Yes, ma'am. Your insights on research and publications are amazing, and we'll look and we'll try to get something published. Ma'am, as we have a hackathon on 21st by IEEE SITSB, what are your suggestions and advices for the participants and students who are participating in the hackathon?
Well, it's amazing that people took initiative to organize, and also people who are so passionate about participating in it. I'm glad that people are participating, and hackathons are a place where there's a competitive coding, and so many people from such varied backgrounds and colleges come together just to sit and code for certain duration to solve certain problems. I wish each one of them a good luck, and once you are done with have your project itself, you're a winner. It's not necessary the top three are the winners. And go participate more and be part of such hackathons. The learning and the exposure and the collaborative work that you get, it's simply amazing. My best wishes to the organizing team, and my best wishes to all the participants. Keep coding, keep learning.
Thank you very much, ma'am. This will inspire all the participants and students who will look forward to participate in the hackathons. Not just this one, any hackathon will be an incredible experience for everyone
Yes,
being part of it. So
of
thank you, ma'am,
course.
for your insights.
Thank you
We
so
are
much, Siri, and the complete team of IEEE. You people are doing an amazing work. Congratulations to you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you very much. Thank you so much for tuning into today's episode of Beyond Boundaries. She speaks, she inspires. A huge thank you to Dr. Chaitra N for sharing her incredible journey, insights, and wisdoms with us. Her passion for innovation and mentorship is truly inspiring, and we are grateful for the valuable lessons she has imparted. If you have enjoyed today's conversation, be sure to subscribe and share this episode with others who might benefit from Dr. Chaitra's stories. Stay tuned for more inspiring voices, and remember, your voice has the power to change. Until next time, keep speaking, keep inspiring.